It is Friday, November 7th, and the Democrats about to cave and reopen the government. Chuck Schumer this morning realizing his caucus is turning on him, about to break with his semi-united stance, making an offer to Republicans, and within minutes, it was rejected. Trump smells blood in the water, and the Dems are about to fold. We'll show you also the latest on what's happening, the real-world repercussions, thanks to this government shutdown, thanks to these 38 days of no government funding, and a shocking story out of California.
What is your response to Chuck Schumer's proposal here to keep those ACA benefits going for another year, bipartisan committee to work on those, and reopen the government with a clean CR?
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money. What Senator Schumer is suggesting is that we do the dumbest thing possible that won't work.
Republicans rejecting Democrats' one-year ACA extension offer to end this government shutdown only 30 minutes after Democrats made the offer to reopen the government if Republicans agree to extend pandemic-era Obamacare enhancements. Republicans rejecting it outright. Senate Majority Leader John Thune saying this proposal from Chuck Schumer not even close to what needs to be done. Chuck Schumer breaking this morning, folks, making this offer as a last-ditch effort to save face for his party, get something out of this shutdown, because like we reported yesterday, he's facing a revolt inside his caucus. Centrist Senate Dems have been meeting all week with Republicans to cut a deal. The deal would simply be these half dozen, these 6 or 8 Democrats, these centrist Dems, will vote with Republicans if Thune agrees to put the ACA extension up for a vote on the floor after the government's reopened. That would amount to failure. That's all they're asking for. Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, it's not what he wants. Democrats doing all of this, folks, shutting the government down for 38 days for nothing. From what we understand at this point, these 6 to 8 Dems told Chuck Schumer last night that they were going to vote with Republicans, that they need to reopen the government. They're getting so much pressure from back home. Schumer asking them to at least get on board with this offer, an offer that would help the party save face. Watch.
Therefore, we'd like to offer a simple proposal that would reopen the government and extend the ACA premium tax credits simultaneously, and then have the opportunity to start negotiating longer-term solutions to health care costs. Let's do all three. I've spoken with my caucus, and Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law, something we do all the time around here.
President Trump smelling blood in the water and rejecting this offer outright. Now, to be fair, the Democrats' offer, Schumer's offer, was to extend the ACA pandemic-era subsidies for one additional year. That already is basically them caving. That costs between $50 to $60 billion. Remember, originally, for the last 38 days, Chuck Schumer said they wouldn't budge unless Republicans agreed to $1.5 trillion in new spending. So they've come down from $1.5 trillion to $50 billion. That's a lot. Again, Republicans rejecting it, though. From what we understand, this is about to wrap up within days. The Senate will vote for a 15th time today on a short-term funding bill to reopen the government. There are some Republicans now indicating that they're open to giving Dems this face-saving gesture on the ACA subsidies. President Trump, though, saying no freaking way. Meanwhile, today, thanks to this shutdown, there have already been hundreds of flight cancellations across the country as airlines began complying with the FAA's order to reduce service nationwide.
There are still frustrated air travelers with all kinds of stories to tell.
So the flight got delayed and I had a connection, so then they had to reroute me and I ended up in a different city and had to rent a car. So the traffic control is a real deal.
I think it adds a big layer of concern to knowing for a fact, oh, I'm going to be making this flight, to whether like, oh, I know I'm gambling whether I'm making this flight or not, and being able to make it home tonight.
But now I'm going to get home in the middle of the night. I didn't sign up for a red eye, but thank you, government. You're giving me a red eye.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying that the FAA's decision to increase reductions to 10% is necessary as controllers are calling out sick and they're expecting to reduce air traffic even more to 20% by next week. That's a big deal. If you're planning on flying, I'd call ahead, make sure your flight's on time, that it's not going to get canceled. This is affecting a lot of people, folks. Watch what Sean Duffy said this morning.
You can't have controllers calling out sick and then think we can run the same amount of aircraft with less controllers. It just doesn't work. This is the concern I have. On Wednesday, air traffic controllers are going to miss their full second payment. Okay, that's a problem in that a lot of controllers have told me a lot of us can deal with missing one pay period. Almost all of us can't afford to miss two pay periods. And if our great controllers then choose to go take a second job or take a different job, all of a sudden that's going to create way more disruption in the airspace. And then not only we reduce flights by 10%, and we're going to then continue to have these other measures of delays and cancellations.
Should people book or cancel their Thanksgiving flights?
Listen, I booked my kids' flights. Book your flights. Because, again, the government can open back up. We could have controllers come into work. And then you're going to be stuck booking a week before you want to travel, and you're going to pay way more money, and you're going to be angry. So book it now with an airline that if they cancel you, they'll refund you. And if they move you, you're going to be okay with it.
President Trump telling the press today that if Democrats continue to vote no on reopening the government, that we must terminate the filibuster, listing off all the priorities that he says we could pass, Republicans could pass, if they listen to him and terminate the filibuster, including voter ID, no more mail-in voting, and more. Watch.
Here's some of the things that we'd pass if we terminated the filibuster. Voter ID, no mail-in voting, no cash bail, no men and women's sports, no welfare for illegals. You could go on and on. This is 2 pages of things we'd do if you did that. Without it, I don't know that you pass anything because you can't deal with them. They're really irrational. They really are. But I was happy to see that a tremendous liability to this country. A woman that made herself rich in this country, Nancy Pelosi, has quit, and she'll be out of here pretty soon. And I consider that to be a great asset for America.
And what's great about this, some of the same Democrats screaming now about the end of democracy if Republicans do decide to end the filibuster were the same exact Democrats who pushed for ending it when Biden was president. One of the worst examples of this is Congressman Jamie Raskin. He's out there screaming about how this is the end of democracy. Trump is pushing, and he will get his way on ending the filibuster. Again, this is the guy, one of the main people who were pushing for Democrats to do this same thing 2 years ago. Even CNN calling him out for this blatant hypocrisy. Watch.
One of the things that he has been talking about for the last couple of days more intensely is getting rid of the filibuster. That's actually something that you wanted to do when Joe Biden was president and things weren't getting through the Senate.
Look,
is that an area where you agree with him?
We don't need a procedural fix at this point.
So you wanted the filibuster to be ended when Biden was president, but now, no?
You know, I'm not in the Senate, so I've got no say in that.
Look, the problem as I see it is once one of the parties end the filibuster, it's gone. Nobody is bringing it back. And here's the thing about that, right? With a simple majority vote in the Senate, that means it's way easier to pass new laws, to spend more money. At least with the filibuster, it's harder to pass new laws. Look how hard it is to even pass a clean CR and fund the government. Imagine if it was a 51 vote threshold. Every time they pass a law and the president signs it, what happens? That's big government making more of your decisions, stripping your freedoms away little by little. We need less new laws, not more. Let me know what you think. In another story, the Department of State under Marco Rubio announcing yesterday that thus far, since Trump's second term, they have revoked 80,000 visas. Writing in a statement, the Trump administration will not hesitate to revoke visas from foreigners who undermine our laws or threaten our national security, adding that 16,000 of these 80,000 visas were revoked in 2025 for driving under the influence of alcohol, 12,000 revoked for assault, 8,000 revoked for theft, 16,000 revoked for DUI. What a change of course from Joe Biden. The Biden administration purposely removed DUI from the list of mandatory reasons for deportation. Remember this?
We're not going to deport anybody who, in fact, has not in this country committed a felony. I would hold ICE agents accountable if, in fact, they stepped over my executive orders, which is no arrest of anyone outside of their school.
So how do you change the culture?
You change the culture by saying you're going to get fired. You're fired if, in fact, you do that. You only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony.
A shocking story out of California this morning. NBC reporting 100 blank California Prop 50 ballots were found scattered throughout a homeless encampment. Yes, Gavin Newsom's new Proposition 50 that just passed on November 4th. It turns out there is good reason to be concerned. Something's not on the up and up in California elections. The Sacramento Sheriff's Department now investigating how the ballots ended up in this homeless encampment. Were they stolen? How many more were there? All questions I'm sure we'll get the answers to, right? Watch.
Started as a routine cleanup of a homeless encampment near Elder Creek and Mayhew Roads in Sacramento County quickly turned into a criminal investigation after deputies made a surprising discovery.
Just hundreds of items of stolen mail, but more alarming were roughly 100 pieces of voting material.
Deputies found unvoted ballots for the statewide special election scattered across the site.
We obviously saw the urgency, grabbed all those items first, got the ballots and stuff returned to the voter registration,
where election officials say the ballots were voided.
They won't count for anything.
The county's Department of Voter Registration and Elections told KCRA3 new ballots will be sent to affected voters on Thursday. Now investigators are working to find out who's responsible.
It's a big deal and it's an undertaking, so this is something that will work in conjunction with the post office as well.
When deputies arrived, everyone at the camp was already gone, so investigators are gathering evidence.
Go through cameras, go through everything, find out who is there. It's going to take a lot of back tracing.
Sergeant Gandhi says the goal is to protect the integrity of every vote.
Whether it's mail-in or some other method, make sure you're taking the steps to track it and making sure your vote counts.
In Sacramento County, Carolina Estrada, KCRA3 News.
The sheriff's office says this is an ongoing investigation. If you believe your ballot was stolen, contact the county elections office for a replacement.
What do you think? Is Gavin Newsom even remotely curious how and why blank Prop 50 ballots are just floating around out there, floating around homeless encampments? I doubt it. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.